Hello, everybody. This is Sky again. And today I would like to talk about toxicity on different levels. So, first of all, I want to start with the fact that everything that we interact with through our senses or that we take in has an effect. So, whether it is through our eyes, through our mouths, through our ears, through our senses, all of this is an interaction that affects us and that can be very uplifting or it can also be toxic. So, mm, in order to keep our frequencies high, meaning living a happy life, being in a good mood, having a high energetic level, being fit, being joyful, being effective in our work, all these things, they are very connected to um, the um, degree to which we are connected with our essence. And that means that in the times that we are now moving into, nothing that is not ultimately connected with source or with the divine is going to be able to sustain itself. So maybe this is not very apparent from a lot of sides yet, but it is going to become apparent as everything collapses. So it is very important, and as you said this previously, that we really hook everything up with our essence and with the divine, with source, and to aspire for the best possible outcome for all involved rather than just following our own personal desires or needs or wants. So this is basically freeing something, handing it over to the universe and saying, okay, I am up for anything that is in the best interest of all and not just in mine. Um, yes, so how did I get to this? um, yeah, anyway, so this is very important in the times that we're moving into now. And also it is important to become more conscious of what we are letting into our system because you know a clogged um, um, what's it called, a clogged system, let's say a clogged system does not let the water through very well. There's going to be blockages everywhere and it's not a free flow. So the system that is our body and our mind and our heart is like that too. So if we take in a lot of toxicity on whatever level, that will clog up our system and prohibit the energy of life from flowing through us. So we live in a world where we are having a very high intake of toxicity on all levels, meaning the physical and the spiritual and the energetic. So basically, let's start, for example, with our visual senses. Um, when when you look at the visual intake that we have when we look through the commercials or the cities or horror movies, much of the stuff that's playing on TV, the news, and all of that, that is a very high level of toxicity, and it pollutes the system. My mom used to tell me that, don't watch bad movies because these images stick in your mind and you won't get rid of them so easily. And that is true. They keep working inside of ourselves, and they do something with us. So, or with our ears, what music do we listen to? What do we listen to in general? As I said before, very aggressive music does something to our system. And maybe it's a release of some kind, but for a lot of people, I know it is. And it expresses some of their emotions, but it is a level of toxicity that is going to affect you. And I can also speak from my experience, when I was, I don't know, in my teenage years, and I had a lot of anger about a lot of things inside of myself. I listened to heavy metal, and I noticed how my thoughts were changing when I was sitting on my bicycle and listening to the heavy metal through my headphones, and just starting to have all these really aggressive thoughts towards other people or to cars or whatever, so yeah, this and that basically made me stop, because I didn't want that to happen. Or through senses, through our environment, I take a lot of care of the environment that I live in, for example, my house, because I want this environment to have a soothing effect on me and for me to feel at peace. And I do. And this care that I take also affects other people. So when other people come to my house, they usually say, "Oh, I feel so good here." And that's because I fill this place with good energy, with beautiful music, with flowers. I make sure that everything is clean and nice. And yeah, there's beautiful things standing around, and I create harmony. Um, so that affects our system. And a lot of times when I come home and I've had a hard day outside, I enter my house and immediately a lot of things fall off of me. Like I feel, all of a sudden, I feel completely different than what I felt before when I was out in the city in the noise, And also, yeah, for example, the noise, the street noise, like the noise of cars or motors or just all these very harsh noises, they do something with us. And it's very important to realize what kind of intake we have, uh, what we do with our system, and also, how do we treat ourselves? How do we treat our body? Do we treat our body as the holy vessel that it is? This temple. Do we love it? Do we take care of it? Um, like we would of our own child. So that is one level of toxicity. And then also, our food intake. What do we eat and drink? Um, there's a saying in the Bhagavad Gita that says, "You are what you eat." And yeah, so the food that we eat, is it fresh? Is it full of life energy, or is it processed? Is it dead? Is it even toxic? What's in there? And yeah, so this has actually become much more fashionable lately, that a lot of people are becoming vegetarian and vegan, and they start to take care of these things. But um, yeah, I oftentimes have the feeling that's also become a fashion. It's a bit of a dogma for a lot of people, and that's not so great either. I mean, it's limiting, let's say. So yeah, but take or pay attention to the way that something makes you feel. Like if you've eaten a big steak, how do you feel afterwards? Or if you have eaten a salad, how do you feel? That's very important because ultimately nobody can really tell you what's good for your system. You need to be able to figure that out with your own senses. But so many people really do not pay attention to the way that things make them feel anymore, that they don't even know. And when the system is very clogged, it takes a little bit of practice in the beginning, maybe with discipline, to do some things that we don't really feel like doing in order to be able to feel again, to unclog the system, to be able to feel what something actually does to you. Yeah, so I would encourage you during the course of your day to pay attention to the way that you feel. Like in this particular moment, how does something make you feel? How does what you do make you feel? How does what you think make you feel? How does a particular thought make you feel? How does a particular TV program make you feel? How does a particular food make you feel? And really um, listen, start listening again to your bodies, because that is another level that people have really lost, is listening to their bodies. How do they feel physically? Because we are so much in the mind that we are not really aware a lot of times how our body feels. Do we feel like tense here, or do we feel a weight on our shoulders? Do we feel like we can breathe? Yeah. So start paying attention to that again, and ask yourself multiple times during the course of the day, how do I feel with this? And I really don't believe in discipline very much, because I noticed that if I really understand that something, I want something, or um, why I am doing something, I will do it. I don't need to force myself to do it, because I just know that, I want this feeling, I want this thing, I just want it. So I don't need to push myself to do this. But of course, that can be a step leading towards feeling again, as I said before, because sometimes the system needs to be unclogged. For example, when I started eating whole wheat foods, in the beginning, my system had a hard time digesting it. It was very heavy. And yeah, so this is the one level of toxicity. Really, it is very um, good for your system, for your output, for your well-being, for your mood, for your energetic level, for your productivity, for your inspiration, for your connection, to be full of life force. And you cannot be full of life force if you're full of toxicity. It's killing it off. Um, so yeah, that is one level of toxicity. Now, um, I want to move to another level of toxicity, and that is the spiritual and the energetic um, toxicity. So I touched on this before about the toxicity of thoughts. Pay attention to the thoughts that you think during the day. What does it feel like to look at someone and think, oh my God, what does this person look like? Ugh, how does that feel? And how does it feel to look at someone and think, wow, this person is a human being like me? Um, and this person has, dreams and fears, and has people that they love. What does that feel like? How does it feel to look, for example, at politicians and be full of hate? And that is something that can easily happen now, with everything that's happening in the world. And how does it feel to um, think the thought that we are all connected and everything outside of me is seemingly outside of me is part of me, you know? There are people who have really lost their way, but that doesn't mean that we're not connected. How does it feel to go to work in the morning and think, oh my God, I really hate my job? And how does it feel to start the day with the thought, what, a friend of mine said that recently, what can I nourish? What do I nourish? What can I nourish today? Um, when I'm at my work, what can I nourish? Maybe it's something small, but it can be something beautiful that I have as a contribution to the world that I live in. Um, yeah, so all these thoughts, and a lot of thoughts, they actually evade us, and we don't even pay attention to the fact that they're there, because we're really so unconscious and so on auto control. So pay attention to, or I would encourage you to pay attention to what you're actually thinking during the day. What kind of thoughts go through your mind? The same goes with feelings, of course. But yeah, they're both connected. Um, and yeah, so the second level of toxicity that I wanted to talk about is, uh, yeah, the energetic and the spiritual, as I said. Um, so, um, human beings are, how should I say, transmuters of energy. We are able to transform um, and we are the link between what's called heaven and earth. So anything that exists outside of us can be transformed through our system and our consciousness. Now, that has as a prerequisite that we are connected to the divine, or to source, or how you would like to call it. I usually call it the divine. I like to call it the divine. The power of life, the power that heals, the power of love. So, this is the strongest force there is. There is nothing that is stronger than that force. And when we're connected to that force, our system has access to that power. So, when we surrender to that force and open our hearts up to that love, then things happen through us that we cannot even fathom, as we offer ourselves as an instrument for the divine. And now I want to address some of the things that are going around right now, which is something that I spoke about before. There are certain things that we are being forced to do with our bodies, as being injected into us. And uh, especially in the spiritual community, there's a lot of fear about this. And there's another thing that there's a lot of fear about, and that concerns particular energies. I'm avoiding the words here. Particular energies or magnetic frequencies that are part of the communication system, let's put it that way, that is speeded up. Mm, I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about. It makes the internet go faster and telephone communication quicker and things like that. So this has a lot to do with frequencies. Mm, and the spiritual community who's awake to the fact that these are physically harmful influences are in fear. So now there are some things, very, very important things to look at here. This feeling of fear, what kind of frequency is that? Is that a healthy feeling or is it toxic? I guess it's kind of a rhetoric question, in my eyes anyway. Um, so, fear makes you vulnerable. When you fear, you are open to letting negative influences into your system and affect you. Mm, so, there's a reason why, for example, Jesus said in the Bible, or actually, yeah, was it the angels? I think Jesus said it, and then the angels said it. Fear not. So this is a very, very important rule, because as soon as you fear something, it also draws that energy into your field, and it creates holes in your um, aura, so that things can enter. Um, now, um, I have actually, asked my star people, as I call them, about this thing that we are being forced to do a number of times. I guess one wasn't enough. I needed to hear it again and again. And I said, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? How should I look at it? And for example, the fact that people who are going along with these measures might affect my physical system. And I got a very clear answer to that. And it was the same every time. It was, and actually, the first time I asked for a headline of the answer, and the headline was, "It is your decision." So we're moving into times where it's very important for people who go to the next stage to understand the power that we're connected to when we hook up with the divine, and that we are actually not victims, but we are creators. And we have been taught to believe that we are victims, and that we are at the mercy of circumstances, measures, people, peers, all of this. We are actually not at all. But that makes us move to a level of consciousness that we haven't really dwelled at so far. To really understand how we choose things that are in our experience. And so what they have told me concerning that particular issue is that it is up to me how I view this particular topic. If I look at it with fear, if I am scared, then I better stay away from it, because it will affect me negatively. And for example, if I am scared of having something affecting me from somebody else that has taken this thing, as long as I'm scared, I am vulnerable to it. And they told me very clearly, it's your decision to make. We cannot make that decision for you, and we cannot tell you what is right or what is wrong here, because you need to feel this for yourself. There is no. It is kind of the junction point, So which road do you take from here? Do you go into love and surrender? Or do you go into fear and distance? So I also got the image, for example, people like Jesus, for example, did they stay away from people who had lepra? People who come to help here in the world, do they stay away from people because they are scared to become contaminated? I think the answer is pretty clear. No, of course they don't. They come here to love. And they are not afraid, because their frequency is higher than the frequency that they're being confronted with. So, when we follow that train of thought, we get to a place where we are really able to transmute anything. Now, that is not something you can tell anyone, you can just do it because you need to feel that for yourself. Where are you at? Because it really depends on your personal inner guidance, where you are at with this and where you want to go with this. What feels good and right for you. But I'm just saying that it is not beneficial to us or our system to succumb to fear of anything. And we don't really know the kind of power that we have access to when we step out of it, when we step into love and surrender. We as human beings are alchemists. And that is what we're here to do. We are transforming through our system. But in order to be able to do that, we need to be conscious of what is coming in and what we want to come out. What kind of influences are we intaking? And what is the thing that we want to put out? And here it's very important to set an intention. Lately I've gotten the information that it's very important now to hook everything up to the highest good or the divine. Everything. Every little activity, set an intention for your day. Where do you want your day to go? What do you want to affect in the world, or with your work, or with any particular activity? Because, um, you know, the times of auto control are coming to an end. And if you continue to be on auto control, you're going to be steered down a path that might not be so pleasant. um, in any case, it's not going to be steered by you, but of the forces that do not have your best interest at heart. So, and anyway, as a whole, we're moving out of this. It's just that some people take longer than others, maybe, to wake up and to become conscious. But yeah, our intentions have a transformative effect, and they make us conscious. They make us remember, or they remind us, what is it that we want? What is it that we strive for? Oh, you do not let somebody else take the steer. But we're consciously doing it. And anything that we do becomes much more effective when we become conscious of it. Any of our abilities um, come into effect when we become conscious of them. It's like Neo in the Matrix, when he understands that he's the chosen one, that's when he has access to all the power that he has been given. Before, he's kind of like, shy, and he doesn't really know. So he's not quite there yet. But when he is there, that's when he can become active. And again, I want to stress that fact again, because this does not lead to some ego trip where we think, oh, we're so strong, we can do whatever we want. No, that is not it at all. Because in any of this, the most important thing is that we hook up with the divine, or with source, or with the power of love, however you want to call it. Because we are vessels, we are channels for that, and connected through it. Yeah, that's it for today. Have a beautiful day. Bye.